It was the middle of a bright spring morning when the world of Ashton Industries shook with yet another scandal. The billionaire's daughter, 18-year-old Celeste Ashton, had been expelled from yet another elite private academy, her fourth one in 2 years. News outlets called her the untamable heiress, her face plastered across headlines that loved to feast on her rebellious streak. She crashed expensive cars, threw tantrums at charity galas, and humiliated tutors who dared to correct her. But no one really knew why she was the way she was. No one cared to look beyond the arrogance and chaos. They only saw a spoiled girl born into privilege, until one ordinary janitor, a quiet single dad named Ethan Hale, stepped into her world and changed everything. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel Kindness Journal. Your support helps us spread more true stories that heal hearts. Ethan Hale was 40, tall but slightly stooped from years of manual labor. His eyes carried the tired gentleness of someone who had seen too much and yet still chose to believe in good. He worked as a janitor at Ashton Industries, cleaning marble floors and empty boardrooms where billion-dollar deals were made. He kept to himself, always on time, never complaining. Most employees barely noticed him. But for Ethan, it was more than a job, it was survival. His wife had passed away 3 years ago, leaving him alone to raise his 10-year-old daughter, Sophie. Every paycheck went toward her school fees, her lunches, and the hope that she might have a better life than his. When word spread through the company that Celeste Ashton was returning from another expulsion, the staff buzzed with whispers. "She's impossible to deal with," one secretary muttered. "Her father's losing patience," said another. Even the senior executives dreaded the sound of her heels clicking down the hallways. But behind her cold blue eyes and designer clothes was a girl who hadn't smiled in years. Since her mother's death, she had built walls so high that no one could reach her heart, not tutors, not therapists, not even her powerful father, Marcus Ashton. Marcus was a man of iron discipline, a self-made billionaire who had built an empire from nothing. But his daughter's behavior was the one thing he couldn't control. He had tried everything: elite boarding schools, private mentors, luxury trips, all failed. Celeste saw them as punishments, not help. She resented her father's absence more than she feared his disappointment. He had money, but not time, and in her world of glass towers and designer loneliness, that absence felt like betrayal. One morning, while Ethan was mopping the hallway outside Marcus's office, a glass door slammed open. Celeste stormed out, fury painted across her face. A folder flew from her hands, papers scattering across the polished floor. Ethan instinctively bent to pick them up, his quiet voice breaking the silence. "Here, miss, let me help. Don't touch them," she snapped, her voice sharp like glass. "You're just the janitor." Ethan froze. Then, without a word, he continued picking up the papers one by one. When he finished, he placed them neatly on a nearby table and gave her a small nod. "Everyone drops things sometimes," he said softly, and walked away. That moment, that tiny flicker of kindness, stayed with Celeste longer than she expected. He didn't lecture her. He didn't look at her with fear or pity. He just helped, as if she were a person, not a headline. It confused her. A few days later, Ethan found himself assigned to clean a wing that had recently been converted into a private study area for Celeste. Her father had insisted she start working under his supervision to learn responsibility. When Ethan entered the room, he found her sitting alone at a long glass desk, her head buried in her arms. The room was silent except for the faint sound of her breathing. He began cleaning quietly, careful not to disturb her, but as he moved, he noticed a sketchbook on the table open to a half-finished drawing of a mother holding a little girl's hand under a tree. The lines were trembling, but full of feeling. "You draw beautifully," he said quietly, without looking at her. Celeste stiffened. "It's none of your business." "You're right," Ethan replied, "but sometimes drawing helps when words don't." Something cracked in her expression, a moment of surprise. No one had ever spoken to her like that. They either scolded her or tiptoed around her anger. But this man, this janitor, spoke like he saw through the chaos to something real. Days turned into weeks, and Ethan kept crossing paths with her in hallways, in the company garden, near the elevators. Each time their exchanges grew a little longer, a little softer. Celeste began asking him small questions about his work, his daughter, his life. She learned that he read to Sophie every night and took her to the park every Sunday. "Must be nice," Celeste murmured once, "having someone who actually wants to be around you." Ethan looked at her with quiet understanding. "It's nice because I know what it feels like when you don't." That night, for the first time in years, Celeste cried not out of rage, but release. She realized she missed her mother's laughter, her warmth, her softness, all the things that vanished too soon. And beneath her anger at her father was pain she didn't know how to name. One afternoon, when Marcus came to check on her progress, he found Celeste laughing, actually laughing, as Ethan showed her how to fix a coffee machine she'd broken. Marcus froze in the doorway, astonished. "How did you—" he began. Ethan turned, startled. "Sir, I was just helping Miss Ashton with—" Marcus interrupted. "No one's been able to get her to do anything without a tantrum, and you have her laughing." His tone was half disbelief, half gratitude. From that day forward, Ethan found himself invited to stay on as a personal assistant to Celeste, a position he initially refused. "Sir, I'm not qualified," he said, but Marcus insisted, offering to double his pay. Ethan finally agreed on one condition: "I'll help her, but not as an employee. She needs a friend, not another babysitter." Marcus nodded, humbled. Over the next months, Ethan became a quiet anchor in Celeste's stormy life. He encouraged her to finish her drawings, to visit her mother's grave, and to volunteer at a children's art center. He even introduced her to Sophie, who adored her instantly. The two spent afternoons painting murals together on the old park wall, moments filled with sunshine and laughter. The tabloids didn't see that part of Celeste Ashton. They didn't see her kneeling beside a little girl, her hands covered in paint, her eyes soft and real. But change is never without challenge. Rumors spread among the staff, whispers that the janitor was overstepping, that Celeste was using him for rebellion. Marcus, under pressure from his board, began to doubt his decision. "Maybe this has gone too far." He told Ethan one evening, "You've done more than enough. I'll take it from here." Ethan simply smiled. "Sir, with respect, you can't take what you haven't earned yet. She doesn't need control. She needs connection." That night, Celeste overheard the conversation. The thought of losing the only person who ever believed in her broke something inside her. She ran out of the mansion into the rain, barefoot, heart pounding. Ethan found her hours later sitting by her mother's grave, drenched and shivering. "You shouldn't be here alone," he said, wrapping his jacket around her shoulders. She looked up, tears streaming. "Why do you care so much? You don't even know me." Ethan knelt beside her. "Because someone once cared for me when I didn't deserve it, and it changed my life. I'm just passing it on." In that rain-soaked moment, Celeste hugged him, truly hugged him, and the wall she'd built for years finally fell. Months later, Celeste was a different person. She re-enrolled in school, started a small art foundation in her mother's name, and even began helping Ethan's daughter with her studies. The press called it the Ashton Redemption. But for Ethan, the real victory was quieter: seeing Celeste smile again, seeing her father attend her foundation's opening ceremony with tears in his eyes. Marcus hugged Ethan that day and whispered, "You did what money never could." Ethan just smiled. "Sometimes, sir, the richest thing we can give someone is our time." As the golden afternoon sunlight filtered through the glass atrium of Ashton Industries, Celeste looked at Ethan and Sophie painting together on the company's new art wall a mural of hope, kindness, and second chances. The billionaire's daughter, once untamable, had found peace not through wealth or punishment, but through compassion. And the janitor, the single dad who believed in the power of simple kindness, had quietly done the impossible. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Every engagement helps us spread more real stories of hope and humanity. Special request: comment below. Kindness changes everything. If you believe that even the smallest act of compassion can heal a broken soul.